It's good to see everybody. This is the June 5 meeting for Ruston Land Bank Corporation Board and call the meeting to order. First item of business before we get in is to elect a secretary pro tem for the day. I heard a nomination for board member Reed. Do we have a second for that nomination?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, acting secretary Reed. We'll move on to, I take that back, acting secretary. You are hereby relieved of your duties and we thank you for your service.
He's like, "Come in."
Always.
How are you? Great, great. We are just getting started here. So first item of business officially is approval of our meeting minutes from the May meeting. Are there any comments or corrections? Hearing none, do we have a motion? Motion. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
All right.
Louder eyes next time. Take it. Any nays? Motion carries. Thank you. So then we'll turn our attention to the treasurer and cash and disbursements reports. Chris.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go over disbursements on the month. This is from May 20th to June 13th. You can see we had some activity this month, not as much as previous months, but still some activity here. The first RG&E line, you can just strike that out. That's left over from previous month. So starting with Rosario Home Improvements, this is additional rehab at 61 Lyman Street, totaling $32,800. We had 7 invoices paid to EMS Systems for continued security monitoring. In total, that was $1,750. 2 water bills paid in the city of Rochester, totaling $57.55. Paul Scuderi, appraisal renewal reimbursement, $330. Big expense on the month was High Rock Contracting for stabilization work at 169 Roycroft, totaling $81,500. And then we had 2 invoices to RG&E this month, totaling $77.11. Moving over to the treasurer's report. Just $1,000 in revenue this month, which was a deposit that was recorded within the month. And then beyond that, the expenses are just restated. Those are the disbursements that we already went over. Any questions?
I have a question. For stabilization, what does that work entail? So it's Wycroft?
So it's-
Exterior work. Exterior work.
So like painting
Furnace, roof, siding, windows. This is before it's being sold.
Any other questions for the treasurer? Move on to resolution 7, which is approval of the sale of 231 Breck Street to the RHBSC.
Yeah, so this is a land bank owned property being sold to the partnership. This will be included in the Home Rochester program. We all know that program. We have a very high level sold to an income qualified owner applicant. Happy to get this on the phone. I met Theo last week and they are chomping at the bit to get the property. Yeah, yes, they are. Yeah, they're being sold for $36,000. Yeah. Prices have gone up from.
Yeah, it won't stand on other ones, sir.
Huh?
It will not stand on other ones.
We gotta get-
Well, yeah, that's what we pay. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
That tends to be.
So what if we put for
RHBC or HBIC, I'm sure, whatever, not for profit.
Yeah, we'll make that same concession.
Look at the money.
curious, now that we had this reassessment of properties actually being appraised for more.
There's, the appraisals are coming in above the new assessments. So the assessments are still low. Which is. You know, a sign of the times, and if you realize, if you go back a ways, remember, there was a lot of concern about, we're gonna jump to city, but there was a lot of concern about the assessments and how they were gonna impact people. And they were accurate, the office was, at least a third of the people's tax impact went down. So it didn't have the negative effect that a lot of us people thought it was going to.
My tax went down.
Yeah, yours went down, great, yeah, so.
Different neighborhoods, because I know, you see Jefferson here.
Some of them did, yeah, some of them did.
Very geographic dependent.
Yeah.
So this property is a double, so it'll be deconverted?
You
Great,
converted?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, home actually only did.
So let's go back to the original state.
Yeah, it wasn't illegal.
Okay. It was legal, it wasn't built back.
It wasn't legal.
Yeah, that's right, original build. Awesome.
any other comments, questions, thoughts, concerns? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 7? Take the motion. You have a second?
Second.
I got you.
All right.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Good work. Move on to resolution number 8, approval of the sale of 60 Starling Street with qualified purchase.
Yeah, so 60 Starling, another land bank owned property, of course. This property actually has a long history of land bank challenges along the way. But we did manage to get this one stabilized, put an offer out there. We're gonna be selling it for $50,000 to gentleman Chris Gibbs Smith, within your resolution.
No, it's a man.
It's a man,
Mhm.
it's a woman. Okay, sorry.
It's okay. I had to check that myself.
Well, this is a private business or how this?
Yes, he and his mother is like his secretary. But they purchase, flip, and then sell to owner occupants.
So he's an ideal candidate to acquire this property, get it into the hands of an owner occupant. You know, it has some, I don't want to say challenges, but limitations. So it's a 1-bedroom. So it's a little small, so the market's a little tough for 1-bedroom. But it's a nice little property, street's very stable. Now, the sale price of 50,000 is what was agreed upon. So, in between the submittal and acceptance of his offer. Today, property had been vandalized. The siding was stripped off of it. They took the aluminum siding for I'm assuming for scrap and salvage. We have negotiated with this individual a $10,000 credit to reflect the additional expenses that will have to be borne to replace or repair this out.
So this resolution is being amended?
No, the contract's still at 50. We're gonna be providing a $10,000 credit. So that'll show up next month,
Okay.
or maybe the month after, depending on when it goes. We'll make sure we work with John to make sure it's properly reflected.
Is the purchase conditioned on the, flipping it to an owner occupant, or is that their business bond,
It's the latter.
the business?
It's the latter.
So it's not in the agreement.
No, you put that in the agreement?
Not if we're not giving them any grant money.
I mean,
And I'll be honest, this property has been very challenging since we acquired it. Police presence and everything. We had a squatter that didn't want to move out. Branded a gun to my property manager. Yeah, we need to do something. 'Cause we've
I
had-
agree, I just think that the whole purpose of the land bank, we should be doing this to owner occupants. And there's actually, a lot of pushback from city council, they've been trying to push the land bank to do more of that, so just letting you guys know that's where it's.
And we tried, believe me, we also tried to sell it beforehand. owner occupant, but it's just. This one, it's a 1 bedroom, there's a lot of challenges, like I said.
We gotta try to find some creative ways to do it.
So,
Well, I mean, I think, but there's maybe some misconceptions. 80% of the properties we sell do end up in owner occupancy. So we want to get 100%, but. You know, we also don't want to hold properties long.
We appreciate all the hard work
Yeah,
y'all do
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
Like,
the
dude,
majority of our
it's
sales
a
go to
lot.
the partnership or to Habitat, which eventually the end user is, okay. And we really do try to prioritize that. But we have, it's a balancing act also. Again, if somebody wants to do it, we don't want to hold it for another 3 months in the town, so something else.
Sure, definitely understand that, and I guess you said, okay, this particular entity, this is what they do. As far as flipping houses to owner occupants, we were just thinking, oh, okay. It's gonna become an owner occupant, say that it's not in the agreement, that just kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some level of uncertainty in everything.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So if, you know, if all possible, continue to look at sales. Whatever way that we can help to ensure those people out.
I'm sure.
So, well, I'm sure you'll monitor this and, you'll know if it flips to an owner occupant or not. And then just having knowledge of that so that if they come to us again, we understand.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, we monitor all ourselves.
Yeah, that'd be.
Kudos to you guys for taking a stance on, you know, a problem property and kind of like taking it back in and
Mhm.
reworking it again. I know that's a lot. That's a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this was a property we identified a while ago, before we even owned it. This property was vacant, and then almost immediately after we got titled, somebody broke in and squatted there, and we couldn't get near him. He had multiple very aggressive dogs, so we couldn't get near it. We sent our guys over just to cut the grass, and the guy comes out with a gun and lets his dogs out. It was a real challenge, this property was. But it's a nice street, so, you know,
So what's the makeup of the street, do you have a sense of the TV?
it's a majority owner occupant. It's a small little street,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
but it's majority owner occupant, and we have eyes on this house from everybody.
Yeah.
Cindy gets calls from all the neighbors.
Also,
Yeah.
they're just much invested as we
Oh,
are.
yes, the neighbor across
Yeah.
the street, she is a blessing and a curse. She calls me whenever someone steps foot to the property, so.
Good, but also, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're joining us remotely, we thank you.
Good job on this one.
Yes,
Um,
this will end up being this problem.
Right, any other comments or questions? On resolution number 8, do we have a motion? We have a second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Dean. We'll move on to resolution number 9, authorizing acquisition of real property at 125 York.
Yeah, so the land bank is asking to acquire partial, a vacant lot, 125 York Street from the city owned right now. The land bank owns the adjoining property at 131 York Street, 2 families, when we renovated. Doesn't have a lot of excess land, so this would allow us to adjoin the 2 properties and get a little more space in the land, be able to put a driveway, get vehicles off the road. This property has, according to the city, has no municipal purpose. So they were happy to convey the land bank. So the land bank's gonna acquire this property, combine it, and let the renovation of 131 Road Street continue.
Oh.
Any questions? Comments?
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Through the resolution portion of our meeting. On to our conversation skill building discussion items. First one, an update on the strategic planning process.
Yes, so as you're all aware, we had our site visit from our consultant. Center for Community Progress at the beginning of this month, the second and the third. This is the second, in addition to the award session. They were able to meet with a city council member. They were able to meet with education office. They were able to meet with Northwest NC office where we are doing the work with some rehabs, and as well we have patients in the Northwest. Maritza took them on a tour of some of the properties that we've done in the past, just exterior, and just some areas they wanted to see, some of the areas that were unstayed. So we were both in the Northwest and the Northeast, just to show kind of the different challenges in those areas. And they've had a developers kind of roundtable discussion that included the RHDFC, Habitat for Humanity, Cornerstone, as their partners in our ownership project, and RHA, will be working with their section 32 transfer properties to residents for homeownership. Subsequent to that, they came away with a great deal. They will be providing a framework for before they start the in-depth writing for what they believe should be the focus going forward. They had a few additional requests. Oh, they met with the city's the city's housing attorney as well. Subsequently, they are meeting next week with members of the Division of Environmental Quality to talk about the environmental portion of the export closure project. Some overlap there, and they will be reaching out to technician of Monroe County Land Bank. They are already just at our state association. But talking about some areas where how to see our collaboration. So we can expect, I believe, the framework within the next month before they start drafting in detail, and we're anticipating the draft presentation in September. So that's where we are. I don't know if you have any questions you want to do to feedback to them after the session that you all have. But it was very fruitful for the staff. They had a session with just the staff as well to talk about our recent things. So.
Great, yeah, it was a great discussion, but I participated in it. Thought provoking. Yeah. So good with that. Timing, working together, this and other work that's happening in the housing space, sharing resources. Really helped to.
I don't know if they shared with you, they've got like 5 other strategic plans going
Better.
for land banks, so I mean, it's a season.
You know, New York clients or elsewhere?
I think 3 in New York. I know there's at least 1 in Pennsylvania. And I know that originally Liz came from there. I thought I would have more news for you about our ability to dream world page. However, I don't. So there's currently been so much back and forth with the Division of Communications about the application and what the graphics will look like and many things. But it's not ready to go live. They have written a draft press release that's been out. They've talked about what their what the campaign will look like. That'll be on their socials. They'll be having all of the resources that they do for the city It's just the actual, I guess. They're not ready to go. So I will keep you posted as I learn more. I really thought we would have been outside today, but it looks like we're getting very, very close. I will say, we had 5 initial properties that were going to go on the page. 2 of them have already sold to other, we've already approved the sales, so it's Roycroft and Brooklyn. And so we are proceeding with those sales, and there will be 3 properties initially that will put online for this, our owner occupied acquisition. Okay.
Is there a target date at all, or?
May 15th. So I'm,
Second date?
I'm not been able to nail down an actual date.
Target.
July 1st. That, let's just,
Sounds
okay. I don't. Okay, I will share that the board feels that July 1st would certainly be, you know, a date to shoot for. Because then it's a new year, and then where will we be? But the funding is all in place, I will say that. And I will say, we did just receive our contract documents from the state that's not on here. So there's funding for stabilization going forward through November 2026. So. Okay. The NBLN conference summit. So that is the National Land Bank Network summit. That is, they are part of the Center for Community Progress. It is an organization of, you know, land banks across the country opt in. We are a member, along with, you know, many other land banks across the country. They're having, they have a biannual summit. It's opposite the Reclaiming Vacant Property Summit that they've run for several years. This year's Land Bank Network Summit. I went to the previous one in Cleveland. It's a very different vibe and content from Reclaiming Vacant Properties. It's really focused. And so a lot of good ideas and connections came from that. I unfortunately would not be able to attend this year.
Where is it gonna be, Ron?
It's in Detroit. September 8th and 9th. Those are the first 2 days of school, and I could turn that camp.
Why would they do that the first day of days of
Well,
school? That'd be
our-
awful.
Our school
Oddly planned.
started so late compared to the rest of the country. I mean, it's a national.
Oh, I know, but still.
Yeah, they did not consult Rosie, and she said no. So if there are, it's early registration through July 15th. So if anyone is able to go, it's, you know, the land bank will budget for that. We have been to a Reclaiming Vacant Properties Council.
What I was thinking in Detroit.
And it was really eye-opening, and it's a really interesting space, and they are like the nexus, the ground zero for vacant properties.
They are.
And they've done so much, you know, in the interim. I can say they will be doing a mobile tour. We did a bicycle tour at that point. It was wow, because there's so much vacancy, and the creative ways that they're dealing with it, and the fact that, like, you know, residential neighborhoods were completely demolished, just raised, and there were grasses that were as tall as houses because there was no reason for them not to be. So the idea that, you know, they were keeping the, you know, streets were maintained, but the lots were, you know, gone back to nature. But there has been so much growth since that time. We started with the riverfront out. So I think it's gonna be a really exciting conference. I was hoping, but, you know, let me know. We can certainly coordinate the travel through, you know, your staff. There'll be a mobile, as I mentioned, where you'll get to tour neighborhoods. There's a lot of New York State participation in terms of content. So. Or for district first day of school. First day of school. but yeah, so. If anyone can go, it would be good to have reference from, you know, Rochester. I don't know, if even any staff is gonna be for it, but, you know, we know Tark and we know Liz and they'll be there. And there's a caucus, like a caucus by state, they're very active, I think it's a state caucus, so there will be people to, you know, have meals with. Okay.
There are several nonstop flights from Rush to things.
We drove.
No, that's a long drive.
It's a long
That's
drive.
a long
and it's
drive.
right.
Like it's going on.
Yeah.
So that is a
You gotta
different
do the
proposition.
QW.
I remember, right?
Yeah.
Gotta do that
Different
40
progression
before
of
I
Canopy
went.
Grove.
Yeah, I
Now
have family in Saginaw, we would drive to Saginaw through Canada all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they're like,
Saginaw and Detroit.
yeah.
My cousin's a retired Detroit police officer, so he just recently retired, so yeah, yeah. Detroit and Saginaw.
It's open forum time. Anything you want to bring us?
Will Cowboy.
I can provide a very brief update.
Well, that took a direction.
Controversy at the end of the meeting.
I'm with you, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I can give you all a brief update on the cobblestone house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's interested. So the cobblestone house has continued to morph into a much larger project than was originally ever.
Seneca Part 2.
Yeah, essentially taking on.
The
all of
money
that.
pit?
Yeah, it is. So as we continue to investigate it, we are finding more and more things, unknowns that we didn't know ahead of time. So right now, city engineer has worked with a couple of outside consulting engineering companies. So there's 3 paths, well, essentially 4. So there is the this is just stabilization. Short-term stabilization, where we stabilize all 3 portions of the structure, which is the main cobblestone structure, the brick addition, which is off to the side, straight down to the side, and then the back has just a regular wood and vinyl sided addition. To stabilize that, we're at $645,000. Yeah, that is not renovating the interior, that is stabilizing the structure so that it's safe.
Who did the Masons?
We're paying a little bit of everything. Yeah, we're paying a little bit of everybody. Yeah. Masons, a lot of it is roof work because the roof's caving in.
Oh, okay.
Those additions, that's not historic, is it?
The additions are not.
I think they did go back.
Well, hang on a second. Here comes option 2. Option 2 is stabilizing the original structure, then demolishing the brick side addition. That price tag comes in at $492,000. So that's a bit of a savings. Massive savings, but it's a savings. So the brick structure and the rear would come off. Right, and we'd be left with just the original cobblestone structure. There is some restoration work that needs to be done with that too, because there'll be there's hallways and doors that have to be closed back up to kind of button up the exterior of the envelope a little bit.
Would that allow us to maintain the usage?
No, it would not. So we would have to go back to New York State and get a waiver on the building code, which we probably won't get. Do you all remember what the building code issue with New York State on that one was? Because the subdivision line is so close to the corner of the house and the corner of the adjoining commercial building, it doesn't meet the fire separation standards. New York State will not pursue anything if it is developed to the last legalized use. Any change requires us to go back to New York State to get a waiver, which we've been told you go back in. It doesn't come close to meeting anything. It's not gonna be, we're not gonna get there. If we demolish it, then essentially we have a structure that can't be demolished. So we're kind of painting ourselves into a corner with that one if we decide to go that way. The other part, if we decide, okay, we're just gonna jump fully into the deep end. long-term stabilization and renovation of the entire structure ranges from 3 million to 4.2 million. Yeah, we had that same. Yeah, she did.
That's money we don't
Stabilization
have.
fund too, you know. Now the fourth option. Right, is demolishing the
Wow.
structure. Which is $130,000. Clear the, knock the property down, clear the site, and be positioned for redevelopment.
The means Mike can come take the cobblestone.
There may be some value, or maybe that was built into the estimate for the demo company when they want to take them and then they can, find someone who wants cobblestones, I guess. But so there's your four different forks in the road. City administration is deciding which way they were to go.
So given that it's in land bank ownership,
Mhm.
they decide, do they have, is it, it's the administration and then the board will have to enact, is that correct?
Yeah, because it's being funded entirely through the city budget.
Yeah, but the structures,
Structures and land bank ownership, the city made a commitment that they would fund all of the activities.
So how long does or the short-term stabilization versus the second option, how long do you project that would take?
Oh, a good long time, probably close to a year,
for the four
Maybe
hundred
more.
and sixty,
probably more, yeah, maybe more for the 492,000. I don't have a time estimate on it, but
but then what would we do with it if we did?
after we develop or after we
I mean,
stabilize it.
yeah, is there, because
After
we
we,
couldn't sell it, because
Yeah, and what we
it has
use
no
it
legal
for,
use,
what we use it for.
yeah,
right?
that option two really doesn't have any viability to it. Because we would have a structure that we couldn't get approval to do anything with. But we would spend $500,000. To just have essentially ruins sitting there that people could just drive by and look at.
At some point, will these dollar values be made known to the public, especially those folks who are pushing for it to be saved?
I suspect so. When that occurs, I'm not sure. But I suspect when the city administration has made a decision, they'll probably have to have that number available to people, because they're gonna need to know that information to understand the scope of what the city would have to take on if they were gonna pursue the stabilization or renovation or whatever the path would take. They'll have to make those numbers will have to be made known to just be able to justify it to anybody on either side.
Right there.
And it's being posted right now on our website, so there's some level of disclosure that's already been made.
But what are the lines that get, so it's in our possession,
Right.
what did you say about the budget? Said something about, what's the line between the city and the land bank on this?
The city agreed to take on all the expenses associated with the stabilization and potential
When
renovation.
we took ownership?
Yeah, as a condition of the land bank taking it,
Okay.
the city agreed to pay for any expenses through DES and NBD.
If the land bank came back with an, so I think maybe to Cosmic's point, like getting it out there for a community campaign where like if the land bank suggests a fundraising campaign, allow private donors to contribute to gauge community interest. If there really is an appetite locally to save it,
Mhm.
then you provide an opportunity to some sort of a fundraising effort to do so.
I believe the mayor's office is looking at that already. Deputy Mayor was made aware of this. That was an idea that was floated.
Gotcha.
For the office, so I think that may be happening right now, under the service of the water.
What is the eligible use? It must be stabilized.
It is if I remember correctly, an office on the first floor with one family and also on the first floor, and then a second unit upstairs.
So that's something that you want to include. Well, the administration is gonna make a determination.
That's hard to explain.
So we,
There's no timeline on that yet, but hopefully for some.
All right, thanks, Paul. Very sobering discussion.
Yeah, well, we kind of suspected it might end up, property's in very difficult condition. But we needed to go through the process and we've evaluated so we can we could see if our suspicions were correct.
No headaches with it.
All right, anything else for the good of the board?
And we heard of how Jake is doing.
I heard they're doing fine, hopefully he'll be back soon. I know that he's just still doing his rehab, getting through it.
Have a motion to adjourn.
Second goes to the.
All those in favor, say go Bills.
Both Steelers.
And adjourn, thank you.
So we missed football, right?
I'll be-
Days.
I'll
Go ahead,
go
I
to
can't
January.
wait. Oh, God.
Failed again.